You are tired. Deeply tired. Not the kind of tired that comes from a long day at work, but the kind that sits in the marrow of your bones. It feels like you are pushing against a wall that simply refuses to move. You have done the visualizations. You have rewritten the scripts. You have aligned your energy. You felt the high of the breakthrough, the surge of certainty that this time, it was different. You saw the signs. You felt the shift. But then, silence. Absolute crushing silence. The synchronicities stopped. The exciting text messages didn't come. The job offer is in limbo. The relationship turned cold overnight. You look at your external reality and it looks exactly the same as it did 6 months ago. Maybe even worse. Because now you have the memory of what you wanted, but the reality of where you are. It feels like you are screaming in a soundproof room. You are doing everything right, but the feedback loop is broken. You feel heavy, pressurized. There is a density in the air around you, a thickness that makes even waking up feel like an athletic event. You've been silently carrying this fear, the terrifying suspicion that maybe you're doing it wrong. Maybe you're broken. Maybe the shift was just a delusion. Stop. This silence is not failure. This pressure is not a sign to stop. If you were an engineer looking at the structural integrity of a bridge, you would not call this stagnation. You would call this the yield point. This is the single most critical moment in the physics of transformation. It is the exact threshold where a material stops stretching and starts changing. The reason you feel like you have stalled is not because your manifestation has failed. It is because you have hit the limit of your current reality's elasticity. You are standing on the precipice of the 9%. The 9% is the difference between a temporary mood swing and a permanent reality shift. It is the gap between stretching a rubber band and bending a steel bar. Most people, about 91% of them, live their entire lives in the elastic zone. They stretch, they feel good, they feel high vibe, and the moment the pressure gets too real, they snap back. They return to their original shape. You are here because you are done snapping back. You are done with the spiritual sugar rush that leaves you crashing on Tuesday morning. You want the steel to bend. You want the reality to stay changed. To do that, we have to stop treating your life like magic and start treating it like material science. We need to look at the stress-strain curve. In engineering, when we want to test the strength of a material, let's say a bar of high-grade steel, we put it into a machine called a universal testing machine. This machine clamps onto both ends of the bar and begins to pull. It applies tensile stress. At first, the bar stretches. If you were to look at the graph of this process, it's a straight, clean line moving upward. This is called the elastic region. In this phase, the atoms in the steel are being pulled apart, stretching their bonds, but they haven't moved from their original positions. They are just uncomfortable. If the machine stops pulling in this phase, the bar snaps back instantly to its original length. It has memory. It wants to go home. This is where most of your spiritual work has lived until now. You go to a retreat. You read a book. You feel expanded. You are stretching your emotional capacity. It feels amazing because you are exploring the upper limits of your current structure. But you haven't broken the structure. You are just stretching the rubber band. The moment the retreat ends, the moment the bill comes, the moment the old trigger hits or snap, the stress is removed and you return to the default shape, the elastic snapback. But if the machine keeps pulling, if the stress continues to rise, something violent happens. The straight line on the graph stops. It becomes jagged, messy, chaotic. The steel bar stops stretching evenly and starts to neck down. It looks like it's about to fail. The internal resistance spikes. The atoms are screaming. They can no longer just stretch. They are being forced to slide past one another. They are breaking their old bonds to find new neighbors. This chaotic, messy, high-pressure zone on the graph is the yield point. And once you cross it, you enter the Earth's plastic region. Plastic in physics doesn't mean fake. It comes from the Greek plastikos, meaning moldable. Plastic deformation is permanent change. If you stop the machine now, the The bar does not snap back. It stays in the new shape. It has been rewritten. You are not failing. You are experiencing plastic deformation. The reason you feel stuck is that you have left the elastic region, where things are easy and bouncy, and you have entered the yield point. You are in the messy, jagged transition where the atomic lattice of your life is being torn apart so it can be rearranged. The stall is the physical sensation of your reality resisting permanent change. You interpret this pressure as a problem. You think, it feels heavy, so I must be low vibe. No, it feels heavy because you are bearing a structural load. You are holding the weight of a new timeline while the old one is still trying to hold its shape. The silence you hear is the sound of tension. It is the sound of the old atomic bonds stretching to their absolute limit right before they snap. Most people panic here. They feel the pressure of the yield point, the exhaustion, the confusion, the lack of external validation, and they think, I need to release resistance, I need to let go, I need to flow. So they let go, they release the tension, and what happens? Physics takes over. The stress is removed before the yield point is fully crossed. The material relaxes. The atoms slide back to their original positions. You snap back to your old life. You snap back to the ex. You snap back to the job you hate. You feel a momentary relief. The pressure is gone. But you have sacrificed the transformation. You chose the comfort of the elastic snapback over the permanence of the plastic shift. This is the cycle you have been stuck in. Stretch, pressure, panic, release, snap back. Stretch, pressure, panic, release, snap back. It's the spiritual hamster wheel. Today, we break the wheel. We are going to look at the stall, not as a stopping point, but as a capacity test. We are going to examine the 9%, that final, excruciating degree of pressure required to break the memory of your old reality. You see, reality has memory. Just like that steel bar, your life has a default shape. It has a preferred state of homeostasis. Your bank account has a memory of what it should contain. Your relationships have a memory of how much love you are allowed to receive. This memory is held together by interatomic binding energy, emotional and neurological patterns that have hardened over decades. To change the shape, you cannot just ask nicely. You cannot just vibrate high. You must apply enough stress to overcome the binding energy of that memory. You have to push the system past its yield point. That pressure you are feeling right now, that is the energy accumulating. It is not a block. It is a battering ram. You have been looking for movement. You've been looking for the car, the house, the ring. But in the yield point, there is no external movement. All the energy is being used internally to break the bonds. A caterpillar in a cocoon looks dead from the outside. There is no movement. But inside, there is a violent biological soup rearranging every single cell. If you were to cut the cocoon open because you thought it stalled, you would kill the butterfly. You are in the cocoon. You are in the yield point. If you have ever felt that snapback, that moment where you were doing so well and then suddenly, irrationally, you sabotaged it and ended up exactly where you started, hit the like button right now. It's not just you. It's physics. And we are about to decode exactly how to stop it. The 9% is the zone where the magic usually dies for people, but it is the only zone where the miracle is actually built. The miracle isn't a flash of light. It's a structural renovation. So, if you are feeling heavy, if you are feeling the silence, if you feel like you are pushing against a ghost, good. That means the machine is working. That means the tension is high enough to deform the reality. Do not let go. Do not release the pressure. We are not here to relieve your stress today. We are here to use it. We are going to take that heavy, dense, frustrating energy, and we are going to direct it into the structural weak points of your old life until they shatter. This is why your quantum shift stalled. It didn't stall because it stopped working. It stalled because it hit the steel. And now, we are going to bend the steel. Let's look at the mechanics of why you keep snapping back, and why the flow state is actually the enemy of permanent change. Let's look at the physics of your situation. You are not fighting a curse. You are not fighting bad luck. You are fighting interatomic bond energy. To understand why you have stalled, we have to look at the engineering of your reality. Imagine your current life, your bank account, your relationships, your daily routine as a solid steel bar. Inside that bar, down at the microscopic level, the atoms are arranged in neat, orderly rows. This is called a crystal lattice. It is stable, it is rigid, and crucially, it has memory. It remembers exactly where it is supposed to be. When you start a new spiritual practice or visualization, you are applying your tensile stress cows to this bar. You pull on reality. You stretch it. The atoms in your life begin to drift apart. They move away from their comfortable positions. This usually feels like the honeymoon phase of manifestation. You feel expansive, you see signs, you feel high. But here is the engineering trap. You are still in the elastic region. In material science, elasticity does not mean flexible, it means reversible. If you take a steel bar, stretch it slightly, and then release the pressure, what happens? It snaps back, instantly. It returns to its original dimensions as if nothing ever happened. The atoms rush back to their comfort zone. This is why you have that cycle of high excitement followed by a crushing return to normal. You stretched the rubber band of your reality, but you didn't break the structure. You just tested its elasticity. To change your reality permanently, to manifest a new job, a new partner, or a new body that actually stays, you cannot just stretch the material. You must deform it. You have to push past the elastic region into the one plastic region. In engineering, plastic deformation is permanent. It means the material has changed shape and will never go back. But to get from elastic, temporary, to plastic, permanent, you must cross a violent threshold called the yield point. This is where you are right now. The yield point is the specific amount of stress required to force the atomic rows of your reality to uncouple, slide past one another, and lock into a new configuration. It requires maximum load. It generates immense heat. And here is the paradox. At the yield point, external movement stops. When a material hits its yield point, it stops stretching. It seemingly stalls. But inside, it is chaotic. The molecular bonds are breaking and rewriting themselves. You are experiencing this as the stall. You feel like you are screaming in a soundproof room. You are putting in maximum effort, but the external world has gone silent. The synchronicities have vanished. The movement has frozen. You interpret this as failure. Physics defines it as structural loading. You are not failing. You have simply maxed out the capacity of your old reality container. You are pushing against the bond energy of your past self. The silence you hear is the sound of density increasing. This is why standard spiritual advice is currently destroying your progress. If you go to Google right now and search, "Why is my manifestation not working?" the algorithm will tell you to release resistance. It will tell you to let go and flow. In this specific phase, that is catastrophic advice. Think about the steel bar. You have pulled it to the very brink of permanent change. The atoms are vibrating, ready to slip into a new lattice. You feel the pressure. You feel the resistance. If you release now, what happens? The stress evaporates. The atoms snap back to their old rows. You feel instant relief, yes. The anxiety goes away. But so does the transformation. You end up exactly where you started, only more exhausted. You didn't shift reality. You just exercised its elasticity. Or perhaps you try the pivot. You decide this technique isn't working, so you switch methods. You stop visualizing the career and start visualizing health. Mechanically, this is structural suicide. You just removed the load from the specific point you were weakening. You allowed the old structure to heal itself, and you started applying low-level stress to a random new spot. You are walking around poking the wall of your reality, instead of leaning into one spot until it breaks. This brings us to the 9% gap. You have already done 91% of the work. You generated the vision, you applied the tension, you stretched the lattice. The stall is simply the final 9%. It is the difference between a rubber band and a steel beam. A rubber band stretches easily and snaps back. A steel beam resists, fights, holds still, and then, suddenly, yields forever. You are not stuck, you are loading. You are accumulating the structural density required to make the change irreversible. The pressure you feel is not a stop sign. It is the confirmation that you have finally reached the breaking point of the old you. Do not release the tension. Sustain it. Stop looking at the calendar. Stop checking your phone for the confirmation email. Stop panic refreshing your bank account to see if the numbers moved. You are interpreting the data incorrectly. You are looking at a flat line and calling it death, but in engineering, a flat line under maximum load is not death. It is the yield point. You have been trained to believe that progress looks like motion. You think that if you are manifesting correctly, the external world should be fluid, rapid, and exciting. You expect constant synchronicities. You want the flow. But flow is for water. You are trying to build a skyscraper. Skyscrapers do not flow. They stand, and before they stand, they settle. Here's the hard truth that nobody in the spiritual community is telling you. The stall is not a mistake. The stall is the work. When you apply stress to a material to change its shape, there comes a moment where all external movement stops. If you were watching a steel bar in a hydraulic press during this phase, it would look boring. Nothing is moving. The bar isn't bending further. The machine isn't pushing harder. It looks like a stalemate. But inside the molecular lattice of that steel, it is chaos. The atomic bonds are literally tearing apart and snapping into new positions. Every ounce of energy in the system is being directed internally to rewrite the geometry of the material. This is exactly where you are. The reason your external reality has gone silent is that your system is conserving energy. It has redirected 100% of your available power from generating events to rewriting structure. You are not stagnant. You are densifying. Think of it like a computer installing a massive operating system update. The screen goes black. The mouse freezes. You can't open Windows, you can't surf the web. To an uneducated user, the computer looks broken. They might try to reboot it. They might panic and hit the power button. But the engineer knows that the black screen is the most critical phase. The computer has suspended all surface-level operations to rewrite its core kernel. If you interrupt the update because the screen is black, you corrupt the drive. You have been corrupting your own reality shifts because you panic at the black screen. You interpret the silence as absence. Let's reframe this immediately. That heavy, dead silence you feel? That is not emptiness. That is density. The air before a tornado is not empty. It is pressurized. Your reality is currently pressurized. This explains the anxiety you have been feeling. You call it anxiety or fear of the future. But look at the raw data. Is it actually fear, or is it just intensity? Is it a trembling sensation in your chest? A tightness in your stomach? In structural engineering, we call this load. You are currently bearing the weight of a timeline that is 10 times heavier than your old life. You are asking for a reality that requires the structural integrity of steel, but you are still operating with the lattice of a rubber band. The trembling you feel is not you failing. It is your nervous system rapidly upgrading its load-bearing capacity. You are feeling the weight of the new life before the new life arrives. This is a safety mechanism. If the money, the love, or the career dropped on you before you built the structure to hold it, you would collapse. You cannot attract what you cannot sustain. The universe is not withholding your desire. It is waiting for your construction crew to finish reinforcing the floorboards. This is one of the most misunderstood quantum shift signs. We look for feathers and repeating numbers, but the real sign of a permanent shift is this heavy, pressurized silence. It is the feeling of walking through deep water. This demands a complete methodological shift in how you operate. Until today, you have been acting like a wisher. The wisher operates in the elastic region. They ask the universe for things. They visualize. They hope. They treat reality like a vending machine. Input prayer, output result. When the result doesn't drop, they assume the machine is broken. Today, you become the engineer. The engineer does not ask. The engineer holds. Imagine a blacksmith working a piece of iron. The blacksmith does not ask the iron to become a sword. He does not plead with the iron. He heats it until it is critical, and then he applies pressure. He holds the iron under the hammer. The iron resists. The iron wants to stay a lump of metal, but the blacksmith sustains the pressure until the molecular structure of the iron has no choice but to yield. You are the blacksmith. Your reality is the iron. The pressure you feel, the frustration, the waiting, the 9% gap, is the hammer. Most people drop the hammer when their arm gets tired. They say, "This is too hard, I must be misaligned." No, you are just weak. You haven't built the endurance to hold the plastic deformation long enough for the atoms to lock. You are not waiting for the manifestation. The manifestation is waiting for you to hold the structure. Stop looking for external validation. The external world is the last thing to move. It is the trailing indicator. The leading indicator is your capacity to sit in the void, under the crushing weight of the silence, and refuse to snap back. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine you are standing in a gym, holding a barbell that is slightly too heavy for you. Your knees are shaking. Your muscles are burning. You want to drop it. That shaking? That is the transformation. If you drop it, the pain stops, but the muscle doesn't grow. If you hold it, just for those final 9% of seconds, the muscle fibers tear and rebuild stronger. You are currently shaking under the weight of your new reality. Do not drop it. Do not look for an exit. Do not try to fix the anxiety. Stand there. Let it shake you. Let it burn. That burn is the feeling of your old atomic lattice shattering. You are not dying. You are becoming a structure capable of holding the empire you asked for. Now we move from the theory of the yield point to the forensic evidence of your daily life. We need to look at the data. If you are truly in the plastic deformation phase, if you are truly in the 9% zone of permanent restructuring, your reality will not feel magical or flowy. It will show signs of structural stress. We are going to identify 3 specific markers. These are not symptoms of failure. They are stress fractures in your old reality. The first marker is the elastic snapback urge. This is the terror barrier. It manifests as a sudden, irrational, and overwhelming desire to return to the very thing you are trying to leave. You are weeks into a new discipline, a new mindset, or a new career path. You are making progress. Then out of nowhere, you wake up with a burning need to text the toxic ex. You have a sudden urge to quit the high vibration project and take the safe dead-end job. You feel like a fraud. You feel like you are regressing. This is not regression, this is physics. Remember the atomic lattice. The atoms in your reality are held together by interatomic bond energy. When you stretch a material to its absolute limit, right before it yields and changes shape forever, those bonds are stretched to their maximum tension. They are pulling back with the greatest force possible because they are about to snap. The tension is highest right before the break. Think of an architect standing on a dirt lot. He has spent months designing the skyscraper. The bulldozers arrive to dig the hole for the foundation. Suddenly he panics. The hole looks ugly. It looks destructive. He wants to fire the crew and plant grass again because grass is safe. Grass is the elastic region. The skyscraper is the plastic region. That urge to run back to safety isn't intuition. It is the tensile stress of your old identity screaming because it is about to die. If you are feeling this pull, do not release the tension. You are at the limit. Hold. The second marker is the density spike. This is often misdiagnosed. You feel physically exhausted, but you haven't done heavy labor. Your limbs feel like lead. Your thinking feels slow, like you are processing thoughts through molasses. You might even find yourself searching online for spiritual stagnation symptoms, because it feels like you have lost your spark. You interpret this heaviness as low vibration. You think you have fallen off the path. You haven't fallen. You have increased your mass. In engineering, density is the amount of mass per unit of volume. When you shift reality, you are downloading a new, more complex structural program into your current biological hardware. You are processing more data per second than you ever have before. You are densifying your consciousness to match the new reality. High density creates high gravity. That heaviness you feel? That is the gravitational pull of your new life. It requires more energy to move through it because it is realer than where you came from. Imagine walking on the moon, where gravity is weak. You bounce. You float. It's easy. Now imagine walking on Jupiter. The gravity crushes you. It requires immense strength just to lift your foot. You are currently acclimating to the gravity of a Jupiter-sized reality. Here's the protocol to distinguish this from depression. Depression feels draining and hollow. The density spike feels pressurized and charged. It feels like the air before a thunderstorm. Static, thick, electric. If you feel that charged pressure, do not try to raise your vibration to escape it. You are meant to be heavy right now. You are becoming load-bearing. The third marker is the most terrifying for the spiritual ego. It is the visual void. For months, maybe years, you lived on synchronicities. You saw 11:11 on every clock. You saw animal totems. You had vivid dreams. You felt guided. And then, precisely when you started doing the real work, it all stopped. The clock reads 12:43. The dreams are just confused noise. The magic feels dead. You feel like the universe has ghosted you. You are screaming in a soundproof room. You ask for a sign, and you get silence. This causes panic. You think you have lost the connection. Listen closely. You haven't lost the connection. You have graduated from the sign phase to the structure phase. Signs are for tourists. Structure is for residents. When you drive to a new city, you look for road signs. Welcome to New York. Exit 5 miles. You need them because you don't know where you are. But once you move into your apartment in Manhattan, you stop looking for the Welcome to New York sign. You don't need assurance that you are in the city because you are becoming the city. The synchronicities stop because you are no longer traveling toward the reality. You are laying the brick for it. You have moved from the elastic observation mode into the plastic materialization mode. A construction site doesn't have billboards telling you what it is. It has rebar, concrete, and noise. The silence isn't an absence of support. It is the focus of the build. If you are currently standing in this void, if you are seeing no signs, feeling immense pressure and fighting the urge to snap back, then you have arrived. You are standing directly on the yield point. This is the 9%. If you are in this heavy silence right now, I want you to document it. Do not let the mind drift into fear. Anchor it. Comment, yield point below. Tell the algorithm and tell yourself, I am not lost. I am under construction. We have arrived at the threshold. Up until this second, you have engaged with the concept of the yield point intellectually. You understand the physics of the stall. You recognize the signs of the void. But understanding mechanics does not build bridges. You cannot calculate your way to a new reality. You must become the material that can withstand the load. We are now going to transition from theory to structural testing. This is not a meditation to help you relax. Relaxation returns you to your original shape. This is a stress test designed to trigger the plastic deformation of your energetic body. We are going to simulate the pressure of the 9% so your nervous system learns to hold it without snapping back. Sit upright. Do not lean back. Your spine must be vertical, acting as the primary load-bearing column of your physical structure. Place your feet flat on the floor, hands on your thighs, palms facing down. This is the posture of an engineer, not a dreamer. Close your eyes. We begin with phase 1, the elastic breath. I want you to take a slow, deep inhale through the nose for 4 seconds. Feel your chest expand. Now exhale for 4 seconds and feel your chest collapse back to its starting position. Do this again. Inhale. Exhale. Notice what is happening here. You expand, and then you return to zero. There is no net change. This is the elastic region. This is where you have lived your entire life. You stretch for a moment. Maybe you go to a seminar, or you have a great visualization session, and then the moment passes, and you snap back to the default setting. It feels safe here, it feels rhythmic. But it is a loop. It is the definition of stagnation. Feel the comfort of this rhythm. Acknowledge it. This oscillating safety is exactly what has kept your manifestation from hardening into matter. You are addicted to the return. You are addicted to the relief of the exhale. To change the structure, we must interrupt the cycle. We must introduce stress. We are entering phase 2, applying the load. Listen closely. In a moment, I will ask you to inhale and hold, but I want you to do more than hold the breath. I want you to tense every single muscle fiber in your body, from your toes to your jaw. You are going to simulate the maximum tensile stress of the yield point. Prepare yourself. Inhale deeply now. Fill the lungs to 100% capacity. Now, hold it. Lock it in. Squeeze your fists. Tighten your stomach. Flex your legs. Clench your jaw. Squeeze your eyes shut. Apply the pressure, hold it. Do not release. Right now, your brain is sending you an emergency signal. It is screaming at you to exhale. It is screaming at you to relax. That voice is the elastic snapback. It is the memory of your old self trying to survive. It perceives this pressure as a threat. It is not a threat. It is the weight of your new reality. Keep holding. Squeeze harder. Feel the vibration in your chest. That shaking, that is not weakness. That is the atomic lattice of your reality beginning to destabilize. You are at the limit. You are in the stall. Most people quit right here. They exhale. They go back to the start. But you are an engineer. You know that this pressure is required to break the bond energy of the past. If you are shaking, let it shake. That tremor is the sound of the old structure failing. Good. Let it fail. Phase 3. The plastic shift. Keep holding the tension. Do not let go. But now I want you to shift your perception. In your mind's eye, see yourself as a bar of solid steel. You are glowing red hot. The pressure you are feeling is not crushing you. It is reshaping you. Visualize the atoms inside your body sliding past each other. They are unlocking from their old positions, the positions of scarcity, of loneliness, of stagnation, and they are sliding into a new, denser alignment. You are not holding your breath. You are holding your ground. Change the internal narrative now. Say to yourself, I am not breaking. I am yielding. I am allowing the pressure to rewrite my code. Feel the density of it. It feels heavy. It feels impossible. That is the point. The new life is heavier than the old one. It carries more mass. It carries more responsibility. Prove to the universe right now that you can carry the weight. If you can't hold this breath, you can't hold the empire. Hold it for 3 more seconds. 2, 1. Phase 4, the new normal. Slowly, with total control, exhale. Do not collapse. Release the muscular tension in your arms and legs, but do not lose the posture. Keep your spine erect. Do not slump. Observe the sensation in your body immediately. You are not back at zero. You feel different. You feel buzzing, heavier. There is a hum in your hands. There is a thickness in the air around you. This is the plastic region. You applied stress, you held it past the point of comfort, and now you have cooled into a new shape. You did not snap back to the beginning. You have permanently altered your capacity. Scan your body. Look for the silence. Before the exercise, silence felt like emptiness. It felt like waiting. How does it feel now? It should feel charged. It should feel like the air inside a pressurized cabin. This is structural integrity. Focus on your hands. Do you feel that thrumming sensation? That electric density? That is not energy flowing. That is the residual heat of the deformation. That is proof that your internal capacity has widened. You have just proven to your nervous system that you can survive the yield point. You can survive the gap between the old and the new without running away. Sit in this heavy silence for a moment. This is the 9%. This feeling, this dense, unmoving, charged solidity, is the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is not giddy excitement. It is not frantic happiness. It is the calm, terrifying weight of having exactly what you asked for. You are no longer a rubber band flailing in the wind. You are becoming steel. Every time you feel the panic of the stall or the urge to snap back to an old habit, I want you to recall this sensation. The shaking is not the end. The shaking is the remodel. Open your eyes. Look at the room around you. It looks the same, but the observer has changed density. The machine has been upgraded. You have successfully crossed the threshold of yield. Now, we must operationalize this. We must take this static strength and apply it to the motion of your daily life. You have felt the shift in your physiology. You have felt the density in your hands. You now understand that the heavy, silent pressure you have been carrying is not a sign of failure. It is the weight of the new reality pressing against the limits of your current life. But understanding the physics is not enough. You must apply the engineering. Most people fail here. They feel the shift during the meditation. They feel the plastic deformation beginning, and then they open their eyes. They look at their bank account. They look at the empty side of the bed. They look at the email that hasn't arrived. And they snap back. The elastic recoil kicks in. The atoms of their reality rush back to the old lattice structure because the external environment hasn't changed yet. They panic. They start fixing things. They start maneuvering. They release the tension. To prevent this, you need a protocol. You need to stop acting like a wisher and start acting like a reality engineer. An engineer does not pray for the bridge to hold. He calculates the load and reinforces the steel. We are going to install 3 specific tools into your operating system. These are not affirmations. These are mechanical interventions designed to keep you in the plastic region long enough for the change to become permanent. Tool number 1. The stress log. This is a tool of perception. Its purpose is to override your brain's default threat response. Right now, your brain is misinterpreting the data. You feel anxiety about your career, or a sudden coldness in a relationship, and your brain labels this sensation as problem. It triggers a cortisol spike. It tells you to run, to fight, to fix it. That reaction is the elastic snapback. It is your old self trying to relieve the pressure to get back to comfort. We are going to relabel the data. I want you to take a piece of paper. Draw a vertical line down the middle. This is your T-chart. On the left side, write sensation. On the right side, write structural load. For the next 72 hours, you are going to audit your pain. When that tight, panic-inducing feeling hits your chest because a bill is due, or because you feel invisible, do not distract yourself. Do not go scroll on your phone. Write it down on the left. Tightness in chest, fear of scarcity. Then, look to the right column. You are going to translate that sensation into engineering terms. If you are manifesting wealth, that tightness is not fear. It is capacity expansion. You are feeling the stretching of your container to hold more resources. If you are manifesting love, that loneliness is not rejection. It is space clearing. You are feeling the vacuum pressure required to pull a new object into the room. Think of a submarine diving to the bottom of the ocean. As it goes deeper, the hull groans. It creaks. It makes terrifying noises. If the captain is an amateur, he panics. He thinks the ship is breaking. He surfaces. He snaps back to the shallow water. But a master engineer knows that groaning is sound of the hull compressing to handle the pressure of the deep. It is a sign of success. It means you are deep. You have been silently carrying a specific anxiety for weeks. You treat it like a sickness. Stop it. It is not a sickness. It is the groan of your hull. Use the stress log. Reframe the sensation. Turn the problem into load. As soon as you rename the sensation, the panic stops, the cortisol drops, and most importantly, you hold the structure. You stay in the deep water. Tool number 2, the 9% push. This is a tool of action. This is the most critical tool in this entire protocol. This is how you navigate the yield point without snapping. There is a specific moment in your journey, you know it intimately, where the silence becomes unbearable. You have been visualizing, you have been doing the work, and nothing is moving. The wall is right in front of your face. In this moment, your brain screams one specific command: do something else. It tells you to change your method, to try a different technique, to text your ex, to apply for a different job, to pivot. Listen to me closely. That urge to pivot is the devil. That is the elastic limit. That is your reality begging to return to its original shape. If you pivot now, you release the stress on the molecular bonds you are about to break. You reset the process to zero. When you hit this wall, you do not pivot. you initiate the 9% push. The protocol is simple. It uses the concept of hormetic stress, beneficial pressure. When you feel the urge to quit or change course, set a timer. 9 minutes, or 9 hours, or 9 days. The scale depends on the size of the shift. For a mental panic loop, it's 9 minutes. For a major life decision, it's 9 days. During this window, your only job is to do absolutely nothing to fix the feeling. You do not release the tension. You do not distract yourself. You sit in the fire. You are going to feel the burn of the yield point. You will feel the urge to snap back to your old habits. You say to yourself, I am sustaining the load. This is one of the most effective reality-shifting methods in existence because it is counterintuitive. We are trained to seek relief. But relief is the enemy of transformation. Steel does not become a sword by seeking relief from the hammer. It becomes a sword by enduring the heat until the molecular lattice realigns. You are the steel. The 9 minutes is the hammer. If you can hold that tension without flinching, without trying to solve it, something miraculous happens. The pressure suddenly breaks. Not because you retreated, but because the reality yielded. The stuckness dissolves. The text comes through. The money appears. Or, even better, you stop caring if it appears, which is the ultimate sign that you have shifted. You have become the version of you who already has it. Identify the one area where you are about to give up. The place where you are saying, this isn't working. Apply the 9% push. Give it 9 more days of absolute unshakable structural holding. That is where the breakthrough is hiding. Tool number 3, the anchor protocol. This is a tool of stabilization. We have addressed your mind and your actions. Now we must address your environment. You are an adaptive organism. Your biology is triggered by your surroundings. When you walk into your bedroom, your brain subconsciously fires the neural pathways associated with that room. If you have spent the last 5 years being depressed, broke, or lonely in that room, the walls hold the memory of that shape. You do the internal work, you reach the yield point, and then you walk into your old environment. The environment signals your brain. We are depressed here. We are lonely here. And snap. You recoil. You cannot build a new structure on a rotten foundation. You need to interrupt the pattern. You need to signal to your primitive brain that the elastic return is physically impossible because the old world no longer exists. The anchor protocol requires you to change one permanent physical aspect of your primary environment. I am not talking about cleaning your room. I am talking about disruption. Move the bed to the other wall. Throw away the chair you sit in when you worry. Change the lighting from warm to cool. Burn the comfy clothes you wear when you feel like a victim. This is not interior design. This is environmental engineering. You need to create a glitch in your visual field. Every time your eye sees the bed in the new position, your brain creates a micro alert. Something is different. The micro alert prevents the automatic firing of the old neural pathways. It keeps you awake. It keeps you in the plastic region. It acts as a physical anchor for the new timeline. It says, the version of me who slept on the left side of the room is dead. That person does not exist. We are in a new structure now. You might think this is trivial. It is not. The mind follows the body. If the body is navigating a new space, the mind is forced to write new code. The integration framework. So, how do you live this? You do not need to obsess over these tools all day. That is another form of resistance. You use them surgically. 1. The stress log is your daily hygiene. Keep it in your pocket. Whenever you feel the heaviness or the weighting, log it, reframe it. I am not stuck. I am loading. 2. The anchor protocol is a one-time demolition. Do it tonight. Do not wait. Create the physical disruption that signals the point of no return. 3. The 9% push is your emergency brake. Use it only when you hit the wall. When the doubt is screaming so loud you can't hear your own thoughts, set the timer. Hold the line. You are no longer hoping for a shift. You are engineering one. You are moving from the chaotic, bouncy energy of the rubber band to the cold, hard certainty of the steel beam. It requires less effort, but more courage. The rubber band runs around frantically trying to find a target, The steel beam simply exists and holds up the sky. Be the beam. You have built the frame. You have endured the stress test. You have reached the yield point and you did not snap back. But a steel frame, no matter how strong, is just a skeleton. It is empty. You have the structure for the new reality. Now, you need to fill it. You need to pour the concrete. You need to finish the building. We have mastered the solid mechanics. Now we must master the fluid dynamics. How do you flood this new structure with life? With money? With love? With detail? That requires a different law of physics entirely. Take a breath. Do not release the tension. Just observe it. The shaking has stopped. The chaotic vibration of the yield point is gone. What you are feeling now is not relief. It is not the soft comfort of the elastic zone where you used to hide. It is something colder, something harder. You are feeling the sensation of structural integrity. You have crossed the threshold. You spent weeks, maybe months, pushing against a wall that refused to move. You thought the silence was a rejection. You thought the pressure was a punishment. You were wrong. The silence was the sound of your atomic lattice rewriting itself. The pressure was the energy required to break the bond of your old reality. You did not snap back. You did not retreat to the safety of the rubber band life. You held the load, and because you held it, you have changed. Permanently. This is the graduation. You are no longer an elastic material flailing in the wind, reacting to every email, every text, every shift in the economy. You are becoming steel. You have entered the plastic region. The shape you hold now is the shape you will keep. But we need to zoom out. Until now, we have been looking at a single metal bar in a testing machine. We have been obsessed with the microscopic stress of your internal state. Now we must look at the skyline. Because you did not endure this pressure just to be a hard piece of metal. You endured it to become a beam, a column, a foundation. You are building a skyscraper. Look at the structure you have created. It is massive. It cuts into the clouds. It is designed to withstand the highest winds and the heaviest loads. This is what you asked for. When you visualize that new career, that relationship, that level of health, you were asking for a skyscraper. But the universe knew you were only strong enough to build a shed. So it stalled you. It put you in the press. It crushed you until your internal density matched the height of your ambition. That is what the stall was. It was the engineering phase. And now the frame is up. The steel is cool to the touch, it is solid. But look closer at the building. It is empty. There are no windows. There is no furniture. There are no people. It is just a skeleton of steel against a gray sky. This is the danger zone of the mastery phase. You might look at this empty steel frame and think you have failed again. You might say, I built the structure, I held the tension, I survived the yield point, so where is the life? Where is the furniture? Where is the noise? You are confusing the frame with the filling. You have mastered the solid mechanics of reality. You know how to build the container. But a container is useless if you do not know how to fill it. This brings us to the edge of your new capacity. You have the strength. You have the structure. Now you need the flow. We are moving from the laws of solid engineering to the laws of hydrodynamics. We are moving from structure to saturation. A steel frame does not pull life into it. It simply supports life once it arrives. The reason your reality still looks like a construction site is that you have not poured the concrete. You have not installed the glass. You have not turned on the power. You are standing in a magnificent, indestructible skeleton, waiting for the wind to stop blowing through your ribs. The next phase of your evolution is not about holding tension. It is about flooding the zone. It is about the law of saturation. How do you take this new, dense, permanent structure and fill it with the liquid reality of money, love, and experience? How do you pressurize the pipes without bursting them? You have built the riverbed. Now you must summon the water. Most people never get to this stage. They snap back during the stall. They remain elastic, bouncing back and forth between excitement and depression, never building anything that can hold weight. You are different. You are still here. You are standing in the 9%. You have built the frame for a life that terrified your old self. Do not let it stand empty. You need the blueprint for the next level. You need to understand how to saturate the steel with life. If you are ready to stop building and start living, you need to subscribe. Hit the button. You built the frame. I will show you how to pour the floors. We are going to turn that cold steel into a living, breathing ecosystem. Do not underestimate what you have done today. The stall was not your failure. It was your entrance exam. Life was testing the tensile strength of your spirit. It applied maximum load to see if you would crack. You did not crack. You yielded. You deformed. You evolved. You are standing on the other side of the impossible 9%. The old version of you is gone, snapped back into the void. The new version is standing here, ready for the load. Do not look back. Do not soften. Hold the structure. You are the engineer now. Welcome to the 9%.